You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Projects management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Rudman Relight. The IFCO. Chiro Moguls. Chiro Health USA. Sherman College of Chiropractic. Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. This episode of Chiro Hustle is brought to you by Relight Hydration by Redmond. Here's the truth. Most Americans are walking around dehydrated, low energy, brain fog, muscle cramps, afternoon crashes, and many people think they just need more coffee, when they actually need more electrolytes. Because hydration isn't just about drinking more water, it's about the minerals. Your body relies on electrolytes like sodium, potassium, and trace minerals to help your cells actually absorb and use the water you drink. Without those minerals, water alone doesn't do the job. That's where Relight Hydration comes in. Relight is built around Rudman Real Salt, a natural, mineral-rich salt harvested from an ancient seabed in Utah. It provides the foundational sodium your body needs for proper hydration, along with balanced electrolytes to support energy, muscle function, and daily performance. No artificial dyes, no unnecessary fillers, just clean electrolytes built around real mineral salt. Because at Redmond, we believe the secret's in the salt. If you're new to Relight, start with their sample pack so you can try multiple flavors and find your favorite. Once hydration becomes part of your daily rhythm, you'll feel the difference. And chiropractors understand this well. The nervous system runs on electrical signals, and electrolytes help support that communication throughout the body. If you're tired of hitting the wall mid-afternoon, it might not be more caffeine you need. It might just be better hydration. Go to chirohustle.com and get 25% off of Relight with their exclusive promo. Hydrate smarter, move better, stay aligned.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 763 of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing John Allen, the founder of Peach State Payments. And if you want to hear our conversation about how taking the pain out of payment processing goes, stay tuned for the full episode. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle Podcast. Today it is John Allen with Peach State Payments, and this is episode 763. Before we get into this episode, where we're going to discuss taking the pain out of payment processing, how to simplify it step by step, why good support is so necessary in this game, and the value of relationships, and how to remove fees entirely, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to be curious about. And he's going to share a few success stories since our last interview back, I believe, in June. So the big why do we do what we do over here at Chiro Hustle? Well, first things first is freedom of speech. We believe everybody has something to say, and they should be able to say it unencumbered. We also believe in medical freedom and family health freedom. They're not the same things, but if you need those things, find a chiropractor in your city. Philosophically speaking, we protect the sacred trust. It's B.J. Palmer's last written words. If you don't know what that is, go to the show notes, click on it. You're going to learn more about chiropractic than you did previously. I guarantee you, even if you've been practicing for 30 years, you're going to fall back in love with the beautiful profession of chiropractic. We also believe in subluxation-based chiropractic. I know I shouldn't have to say these things, but they're removing the lexicon from the education. So if you know a chiropractic student that needs to hear this message, please share the show with them. We also believe in innate intelligence, universal intelligence, and the educated intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical gets adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And with that, this is episode number 763. John Allen, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Peach State Payments. First thing that we're going to discuss is how do you take the pain out of the payment processing system?
Yeah, it's, kind of getting getting to the message that you were saying earlier. It's all about relationships and getting hooked up with a payment processor that has the business owner in mind. It's really easy to get set up with one of these big box processors where you just become another number, and you put in all of the information and you just hope that the funds end up in your account when they say they're going to. So the way we work is we really try to get to know our clients and understand their business practices and figure out how we can really serve them to get the revenue into their account so they can focus on what they really want to do, is take care of the patients.
Yeah, I think that's so important. You said get the funds when they're expecting to get the funds, because us being a podcast, we have different people use different billing agreements with us. And I'll tell you, there's this new one that people have been using with me called Bill. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
I haven't heard of that one, no.
Well, the invoice will go out on the 1st and the money turns up on like the 20th. What's with that?
It's really about how they set up the invoicing. The way we set it up, most of our accounts are either funded the next day, 2 days at the absolute most. So when you process a transaction, those will get batched. And typically the money ends up in your account either the next day or at the absolute most 2 days later. So we really pride ourselves on getting that revenue to our customers so that they can actually keep their business open, keep the lights on.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that when they hold that money from a payer to the receiver, that they're doing anything nefarious with that in the middle ground?
They're absolutely making interest off of those 2 weeks that they're holding it, and when you aggregate those payments across, thousands of customers, it's not an insignificant amount of money that they can make by holding on to that money for a couple of weeks.
I didn't even know that was a practice that people could do that.
Yeah, it's another revenue stream.
So the longer you hold people's resources, the more you make.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about making that, that interest.
And you pride yourself on quick turnaround.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that we pride ourselves on. We do a little bit of work up front so that we get to know our customer. Our partner banks get to know the customer. And so they're very comfortable turning that money around as soon as the transactions are posted.
So let's take it linear, step by step. Let's simplify how you work with the customer.
So the first thing we do is obviously get to know them on a short phone call. We try to understand their business. We try to understand which payment system that we offer, which methods we have that will work best for them. We do a little bit of underwriting. So we collect some information about the business, about the owner. It's kind of like applying for a credit card or another bank account. So we get the information about the business. And then once we do that, we get them onboarded, we get them online taking payments, and the rest from there, it's just, we try to make it as seamless as possible.
So did you get into this type of business because your experience with real estate and investing as a private lender, or did you get into private lending and real estate based on this business?
This really came about. I had a friend of mine that owned a small business that took credit cards, and he had an experience with one of the other big box payment processors. They're not really a processor. We call them payment facilitators because their business model is not really processing the payments. It's really just facilitating that money going through a different set of rails. But he had a situation where he had several $1,000s that were processed by one of those companies, and they just decided arbitrarily that something looked a little fishy. And so they put a hold on those thousands of dollars for several weeks until they completed their quote unquote investigation. So I talked to him and I said, there's got to be a better way to do this. So I sought out some people that I ran across in the space and partnered with them. And the rest from there, as they say, has been history. That's where Peach State Payments came from.
So you were eventually in the real estate investing and underwriting before Peach State.
Yeah, I still do that as well. I still do some real estate investing and private lending as well. So this is just another vertical that I saw I could help people that I know, and decided to go into this as well.
So let's talk about I think we touched on this a little bit in our last interview together, but let's talk about like the scenario of like a Stripe or a Square, and how that compares over to Peach State?
Yeah, so Stripe and Square are probably the two biggest. It's really easy to get set up with them. You can do it really in less than a few minutes. The problem with Stripe and Square is that you don't have your own merchant account. You have an account with Stripe. They can change their terms and conditions. They can change their processing rates. They can hold your funds. They can do all of these things without your input. So at Peach State, we don't change your processing rates without your approval. We sign a document that says these are your rates until you decide that you need to or want to change them. And we also offer some dual pricing opportunities to where we can completely eliminate the standard processing fees. So we can completely take those fees out of your bottom line and put all of that money back into your account.
Well, I want to talk to you more about that as we get down the line, but I think it's really interesting that we live in this money market world where people probably know about crypto more than they do their how they get processed to collect their money.
Yep.
Why do you think that we haven't had a better, I guess, product of knowledge for people that go through education to learn about how to collect money better and how their money affects their futures?
I think the big thing is that they're just trying to operate their business. And it's one extra step that most people that we see will use whatever electronic health record they use to process payments inside of that record because it's easy. It's integrated within their system. It doesn't require an extra step or two, but they end up paying that 3 to 4% on top of their normal. There's an extra 3 to 4% within that electronic health record to process through that platform. So, I think it's just a matter of being the easy button, and we try to make it just as easy as those internal platforms, but then putting money back into the customer's pocket.
Yeah, I mean, people really probably don't understand what 3 to 4% really feels like until they look at it of how much actually was collected and shelved off to the processing people, and then they're like, "Dang, I don't want that anymore."
Yeah, and I will say it typically will take an extra step or two if we're processing outside of that. But in my opinion, I think the savings that you can benefit from really far outweigh that extra step.
What's the runtime on that extra step? What are people typically experiencing as from the engagement to say we want to take Peach State as a processor to saving that 3 to 4%?
We can have them up and running typically within a week. If all the paperwork's in order and you get all the information that we request back to get the account open, we can have you up and running within a week at the absolute most. Usually it's much quicker than that.
Are there any things that credit score or anything that has a negative impact on people being able to apply to get those reductions and savings?
No, it's something that the bank will look at, but it's not something that's a deal breaker. We can usually work through all of those issues, even if it's a lower revenue business or you've had some credit trouble in the past. It's something we can typically work through. It may require a few extra steps, a little bit of extra paperwork, but I've onboarded clients that have had those challenges in the past, and we've been able to make it work. We have some very flexible partner banks that are willing to take our clients on. And again, because we do that little bit of underwriting, they have a better understanding of who that client is and what they're trying to achieve. So we've always been able to work through those situations.
So the fortune's in the process.
It really is. It's again, it's an extra step or two, but it's an extra step that will put that 3 to 4% right back into your business's bottom line on day one.
So I think we answered the question of how we remove fees entirely.
Yeah, the benefit is if you offer, we call a dual pricing program. So as long as you give the customer an option to pay without a credit card, so they can pay with cash or with a check or some other form of payment, we have programs that will allow you to completely eliminate those processing fees altogether.
I had no idea people could do that.
Yeah, it's becoming much more common. Typically, if you go to a restaurant these days, you'll see a line added to the bottom of the menu that says, 3% added to all credit card transactions. So, I mean, being completely transparent, that fee is being paid. It's just being passed on to the customers to allow them to use the credit cards. So it's still there. It's just not something that the business owner is expected to pay going forward.
So is that kind of similar to when I drive by and I see like an advertised price for a gallon of gas for cash, and then I go up to the pump and it's not the same because I want to use my credit card?
Exactly. It's very similar to that. And the gas stations have been doing that for decades.
And it's like the ultimate bait and switch.
It is. It really is. And the customers are really benefiting. You know, they get their credit card points. They get benefits from using their credit cards. And up until the last, several years, business owners have been the ones that have been subsidizing those programs with the credit card companies. So it's something that recently we've seen business owners being much more comfortable passing that fee on to their customers so that they're not subsidizing those programs anymore.
Do you think the future will ever be that Peach State has its own consumer product for a card?
Perhaps. I mean, that's such an involved process. It's an expensive proposition to have our own card. So, I mean, I think that's something that at least as a small business owner myself, I'll probably leave that to the big guys. But, we really just want to make it much more seamless for business owners to be able to get their money back into their pocket.
I guess from my personal experience, I like cards that give me kickbacks for flying.
Absolutely.
And that have miles included, and they'll give me like X amount of points for, shopping at like different restaurants or shopping at different like retailers. Is there a product that you prefer to people that are curious, that ask you about like what card should I get into? And do you do any types of like, I guess, guidance on those types of topics?
Yeah, we can help with, if you're looking for a business credit card that works kind of best with your situation, we can certainly try to help steer them in the right direction. You really have to look and see what, for airline cards, what airline you fly the most frequently, or what hub you live closest to. There are so many cards that are available that it can be really difficult to figure out which one makes the most sense for you and your business.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is brought to you by Peach State Payments. Ethical processing, more profit, less stress. Chiro HD, more than an EHR. Practice management simplified. The Chiro Speaking Company. Attract, educate, and convert. Chiro Spring, cloud-based, user-friendly software with all the essential features chiropractors need. Redmond Relight. The IFCO, Chiro Moguls, Chiro Health USA, Sherman College of Chiropractic, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, and Life West College of Chiropractic. Let's hustle. Hey docs, let me ask you something. Are you adjusting patients but not adjusting your revenue? Because a lot of chiropractors are still undercharging without even realizing it. They're accepting insurance allowances that are just too low, and they're hesitant to raise the fees because they're worried about pushback from patients. The problem is, when your fees and financial systems aren't aligned, it creates a slow leak in your practice. And when you try to grow, more marketing, more patients, maybe even another location, the leak gets bigger. There's actually a smarter way to handle this. Chiro Health USA helps chiropractors charge appropriately when insurance is available while still serving cash or limited benefit patients through a compliant discount medical plan. The results? Many practices see revenue increases around 15 to 20% without adding more visits. Same patients, better margins, more freedom. If you want to stop leaving money on the table and build a practice that's both profitable and compliant, check out chirohealthusa.com to learn more. Yeah, I found that I like the United card because that's the hub out of Grand Junction. And I find that United is at a lot of major hubs. So I found that the United Club's the best one for me. Plus, I like their lounge. So
Yeah.
I pay a little extra each year just so I can have access to their like airline lounge. And
yeah, everybody here in Atlanta has the Delta cards, the Delta American Express cards here in
that's
Atlanta.
the hub.
Probably most common because everybody, Delta's the major carrier here in Atlanta.
Delta owns that market. So gosh, the other one I really like is my REI card.
Yeah.
Because a lot of I guess as I've investigated more into the marketplace for like card usage, a lot of them don't really give like I just don't see the real benefit of points back a lot of times from different ones. Like they say they'll do it, but like when the rubber meets the road, you don't see like what you actually get as like the benefits from it. And the REI card is the one that I like just because they'll always give dividends, because actually that business has been built on giving dividends back to people for using and buying products from them. So that's one that's very reputable that I like a lot.
Yeah, it's a true co-op. I have that card as well, and it's a place that I can't go into and get out of there without spending a couple $100. So
yeah, so you might as well take the dividends that they give you back and not pay a couple hundred and pay $25 less dollars each time.
Absolutely.
Let's talk support. I know that you pride yourself on support for the people that use your company. Why is that so valuable to the end user?
I hear so often that when clients that we onboard have used Stripe, Square, one of the other businesses in the past, they end up getting a phone tree when they try to contact support. So you end up trying to talk to somebody that's either overseas or maybe doesn't speak your language. All of the clients that we onboard have my cell number. They have my email address. They can text me. They can call me if they have an issue with their payments. They can get directly in touch with me, and then I try to figure out what the problem is and handle that. So, again, we pride ourselves on really taking the pain out of payment processing, and that goes with being their support when they have an issue. They're not going to get a phone tree. They don't have to push 7 to talk to somebody overseas. They're going to get in touch with me.
So do you ever find that type of access breaks into your personal life too much?
I don't think so, because most of the people that I deal with, they're only going to contact me if there's really an issue. And if there is an issue, I want to know about it, because that's really how we built the business. I try to be upfront with them. If I'm not going to be available, they have other backup options for support. We have a full back-end support team that they can contact as well 24/7. But I really want to be the first point of contact for those customers, because that's part of what they signed on for.
Yeah. Me just being a podcast guy and doing marketing, my phone's on all the time too. And sometimes I'm just like, I wish people didn't have so much access to me, but I see if that's in your ethos of the business models, like it is mine.
Yeah. And I try to be, selective about the people that I work with, because I want to work with clients that align with my vision, with, my personal beliefs. And I know there are people that aren't going to take advantage of that access. If we have a call together and it doesn't seem to jive, then I'm going to point you in the right direction, but you may not be a client that I want to work with. So I try to really focus my efforts on people that align with my vision, align with my background, and we get along together, because I think that's how you can protect yourself a little bit, by working with people that have similar beliefs as you, if that makes sense.
So I guess you're offering that up to me. What is your ideal client? And how could we identify that so we can maybe start sending you more people?
Yeah, the ideal client is really, a small business owner that is trying to take care of their patients and wants to offload one more piece of the business that is really, I don't want to say non-revenue adding, but it can really be an anchor that's holding them back from being able to take care of their patients better. Our ideal clients they're motivated business owners that are really trying to do the best they can for their patients. They have a thriving business, but they're losing quite a bit of money to being able to take credit cards. So those are the people that I want to help try to get that money back in their pocket.
So would an ideal connection for you be like a coaching group that serves multiple chiropractors or multiple providers?
Absolutely. And if the coaching group if they take credit cards to process for their memberships, we can handle those as well. Pretty much any vertical that the federal government allows the money to go into the banking system, we can process for.
That's really cool. I bet you could help a lot of chiropractic colleges save some money too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Nonprofits, we can help them as well. Chambers of commerce, you name it, really, the sky's the limit. We've onboarded some food trucks. We've onboarded, med spas. That's really kind of how I started. Med spas were some of the first clients. Obviously, as a physician, I'm well connected in the healthcare space. So those are some of the first clients that I had were the med spas. And some of the amounts that we were able to put back in those businesses from day one it's just been amazing for their bottom line.
Well, we always know that the non-for-profit's only non-for-profit until they become for-profit.
Right. You're exactly right.
It's a really good distinction until something goes public, right?
That's right.
But I think it's a really good angle if people wanted to like build a business and get donations and figure out that angle to money management. And I've seen a lot of companies start that way, that they go in as a non-for-profit and then they switch gears at like year 3 or year 5, whenever that exemption comes up, and they're like, oh, we're going to go and become a public company and we're going to take profit now.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
and the other thing I'll mention too, we're happy to jump on a free call with anybody. We'll take 10, 15 minutes out of your day, but we'll look at your business. There's no obligation, no pressure. It's not a sales call. It's really just getting to know you and your business and seeing if we're a good fit together. We haven't run across a client yet that we've had one of those calls with that we weren't able to put money back in their pocket. So, it's not a matter of if we can do it. It's just a matter of whether we're a good fit to work together.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it, is you have to like people's philosophy and their ethos and why they do what they do. And if it lines up, yeah, let's save everybody some money.
Yep,
it's around the holidays right now. And I'm sure there's somebody right now listening that is like, dang, I wish I could have an extra $1,000 in my pocket today. Or I wish I could have an extra $10,000 in my pocket today.
Yeah, it pays bonuses for your staff. It pays for equipment. It, pays for groceries. It all that money goes right back to your bottom line. So it's one of the things I love about this is getting to talk to business owners, understanding new business models, new verticals, new opportunities, and really just helping their business succeed.
So talking about the service of help, let's share 2 to 3 examples of people that have come into your space that were right fits for you, that you could help them out and make a change in their lives.
The first one was my first client. It was a med spa in East Tennessee. She opened up, worked with Stripe, was processing a couple of $1,000s a week. And then Stripe decided they were going to hold $10,000 of her funds for a month and a half. So that's $10,000 she couldn't use to keep the lights on, to pay her staff, to pay for, equipment or supplies. So we got her onboarded. She gets funded next day. They process, in the evening after their business closes for the day. And the next day, the money's in her bank account. So, and she's on the dual pricing model as well. So, she pays a nominal fee to access the program, just an account maintenance fee every month. But that 4% that she was paying to Stripe and Square has gone right back into her pocket. So that was my first big success story with this.
And that's an anchor moment. You're like, wow, this is a big win. But, it was a bigger win for her. And I'm sure she's still, telling everybody about what you guys have done for her, and probably one of your biggest fans.
Yeah, she's sent a couple of clients that she's acquainted with as well to us, and we've been able to help them too. So, and it's really, that's what it's all about. It's about, building those relationships. We don't really do any advertising other than, being on this podcast and a couple of other like small market things. But most of our advertising is done by word of mouth because we want to work with the people that we already work with. And we want to work with people that are similar to them. So, that's how we find our ideal clients.
I think down south, they call it like and kind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, coming up on the edge of our show today, is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to make sure we talk to our audience today about?
The other thing that I'll mention too, I'm very public safety oriented. I'm the medical director for a couple of fire departments. So we take 10% of our revenue every year, and that gets donated back to one of the local public safety charities. So every client that we onboard, every dollar of revenue that we generate, we give a portion of that back to our communities. So, I would encourage people to find a charitable cause that they believe in and do what they can to help support them. The firefighters that live and work in my community, they put their lives on the line every day. And, I feel obligated that part of my station in life is to be able to help provide for them. So we give a little bit of our revenue back every year to one of those charities. So if you do sign up with us and we help process your payments, you'll be helping those public safety guys as well. So I think that's just something that's very important to me.
I love a great message of philanthropy.
Absolutely.
I also, with the funding I get, I put money back into the pockets of a couple chiropractic colleges. Because I always believe that if I can even give $100 a month to a college, that it's going somewhere good. And it's going to an institution that I believe in. Like I was talking to you off camera, I just want to support institutions that are doing the right things to produce great chiropractors. And I think that that's a big part of my ethos is I want to support people that support what I do. And a couple of them are sponsors of our show. So I want to make sure that I perpetuate the people that take care of me too. And I don't know if it's a charitable donation per se, but or tithing or whatever we want to call it. But I definitely believe everybody should find things that they are attached to and find ways to give back and, make the world a little bit better place, not just with what they earn, but what they give.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to have that higher sense of purpose. It's not just going to work every day and making another dollar. It's about doing what you can with the dollars that you make and the time that you have to make everybody's life a little better.
Well, I want to thank you for giving us a little bit of your time today, a little bit of your talent, a little bit of your treasure, because every dollar you put into us, we put back into chiropractic. I'm tireless on the road supporting this beautiful profession. I go to all the shows and speak on all the stages. And, last year I flew over 120 times. So as much as I can go out there and campaign for chiropractic and make it front and center in the world, that's my mission and vision. And I appreciate you being a part of the sponsorship team that gets us on the road.
No, I'm happy to do it. And again, if anybody's interested in getting signed up with us, if you want to learn more about it, feel free to reach out. We'll do a free call and see if it fits. If it does, we'll get you signed up. Easy day.
What's the web address again?
It's www.peachstatepayments.com. And there's a booking link there that you can book a call with me or my team, and we'll get the ball rolling.
All right, John. Well, thanks for being on with us today. Thanks for sharing a little bit about the project that you've created to help people and to save them some money. And like you said, if we accomplished one thing on today's show, you want to take the payment processing off their plate. And being around the holidays, maybe they can put a little bit extra food on their plate.
Absolutely. So, another couple presents under the tree.
Yeah, another couple presents under the tree, and maybe a little good cheer and some some happiness around the holidays. So once again, John, appreciate you being on with us. It's peachstatepayments.com. Schedule a call with them and get yourself some time with them to save some money.
Sounds great. Thanks, James.
All right. Appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.